Hey everyone, it's Daniel Brother Barbaris. In light of VBScript being decommissioned by Microsoft in 2027, you can see here on the subreddit in MDT that if you have websites or applications that still run on VBScript, we recommend migrating to either PowerShell or JavaScript. Okay, and because MDT is built almost entirely on VBScript and WScript files, that's where Friends of MDT PSD comes in. And if you look here, the purpose of PowerShell deployment for MDT is to create a new deployment solution that provides the same level of automation as MDT, but built on a more modern framework, PowerShell. It has better disk handling, extended logging, performance improvements, code cleanup, support for driver packages in Win format, that's a great one, server-side logging support via the Background Intelligent Transfer Service, and you can enable that with your SL share variable in your custom settings INI. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set this up alongside our current MDT deployment share so that once you have it all set up the way you want, you can retire your old VB script and WScript one. All right, now for this lab setup, if you go on this subreddit, reddit.com/r/MDT, and you go on the sidebar here under resources, you'll find my playlist right here. Okay, so just click on that, and I'll be making video 16, which will be this one, and I'll upload that as soon as we're done. All right, let's get started. I'm going to close this up. We're going to log into our MDT server, Control Alt Insert, and away we go. Let's open up Edge from the taskbar, and we're going to go to our GitHub. So we can actually type HTTPS if we want. There we go. Just waiting for our VMware tools to load so we can do copy and paste. Once we're here, let's go to Code in the drop down, download zip. We're going to save as and save to our desktop. Okay. Give that a moment. It's only 2.3 megabytes. So we'll close this. I'm going to shift and right click on that. 7-zip, extract here. I'm going to hold down shift, right click delete so that it doesn't go to our recycle bin. I'm going to right click on PSD-master, cut. We'll go to our G drive where our share is, and we'll paste that there. Okay. We can close this Explorer window. And now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on Start, go to Windows PowerShell Admin. We're going to change directory to the G PSD. Press the Tab key, it'll fill that in for you. There's our directory listing. Okay. We're going to go to our Tools folder. There we are. What we're going to do is we're going to go and open up this new PSD web instance PowerShell. So click on Start. Let's open up Notepad++. File, open. Control V to paste that, open. And then we're going to click on Search, Find, Install-Windows feature. Find Next and click Close. And you'll see the first thing that we're going to install with this script would be a web server. And then the bits IIS extension. And then of course we have a whole feature list right here. Okay. Now, since we already installed IIS for our WSUS service in the past on our servers, I've went through and I found just what we're missing from this script, and we're going to install that. Now, if you're installing this, I'm going to close this. If you're installing this on a new deployment server, what I would suggest is just going here, typing /new-ps web instance.ps1 and pressing enter and installing that, then doing a restart force. Okay, but like I said, since we've already got IIS installed, I went through and found all of the features that we need for our server. And I'm going to copy from line 56 up to 55. Right click, copy, and I'm going to paste that right here and I'll let it go. Okay. Once this is done, I'll come back and we'll continue with the video. Okay, and we're back, and as you can see, it says you must restart the server to finish the installation process. We already have the restart command here, so just press enter, and there we are. Let that go through. We'll wait for the logon screen, and I'll come back when that's ready. Okay, and we're back. Let's Control-Alt-Insert. Let's log back in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go right-click on Start, Windows PowerShell Admin, and I'm going to give it a timeout of 3 minutes or 180 seconds, no break, just like that. And when the countdown timer is done, which is our servicing timeout, we'll come back and check our services, make sure everything's up and running before we get going. 3, 2, 1, 0, and there we are. So we're going to check our services, make sure everything is up and running. Services.msc. And we're going to look at our automatic and automatically delayed start services. And the only ones that aren't running are software protection and Microsoft Edge update service, which start but then stop. So that's fine. We're mostly concerned with our SQL services and our Windows deployment services, etc. Okay, so it looks like we're good. We can close services. Now we're going to go to our PSD master again. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to install PSD. So we're going to create a deployment share called PS deployment share, and that will sit next to our current deployment share. We're going to give it a share on the computer as PS deployment share in lowercase. So let's copy that and paste and press enter, and away we go. And this should install, which should be good. Then we're going to create 2 folders. We're going to create a logs folder and a scripts custom folder that we're going to place the same custom scripts we did in our previous deployment share. Okay, so let's copy from 76 up to 73. Copy, paste, there we go, and we're in the tools directory. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set a web instance for our IIS. Okay, we're going to create a root CA certificate with a validity period of 5 years. We're going to place that in our deployment share. And then we're going to also put the server cert MDT01 for the root CA. Okay, and that's also with a validity period of 5 years. If you want, you can set that to, I believe Johan had 20 on his, so we'll just do 5 for ours. Okay, and then I'm going to copy from 82 all the way up to 78. Let's copy and paste those and let that go through. And I'll come back when that is done. Okay, we're back, and it says the script has completed on all 3 of these. So now what we're going to do is we're going to open up our certificate manager. So certlm.msc. We'll maximize this window. We're right here. We're going to go to Personal, Certificates, and you can see our MDT certificate here and our PSD root CA. Then we'll go to Trusted Certificates, and you can see our PSD root CA here. Okay, so we can close that, just verifying. Now we're going to check on our IIS. So Start IIS, or Information Services Manager. We're going to expand our MDT01. Okay, we're going to go to Sites, Default Website. Okay, we can actually maximize this to check. We're going to go to Bindings here, HTTPS, Edit, and you can see our MDT01 SSL certificate is there. Cancel that, close that, and if you go in here, you'll see our PS deployment virtual directory has been created. Okay, so we can close that. All right, so now we're down here. We're going to go to comp management. We're going to change the permissions on that folder that it just, or that share that it just created. So let's go to shared folders, shares. I'm going to expand share name. Okay, right here. We're going to click, then right click on our PS deployment share. Click on properties, go to share permissions. On everyone, we're going to put full control. I'm going to click on administrators and remove them. Then I'm going to go to security. You can see we're right here. Okay. Click on advanced, disable inheritance. We're going to convert our inherited permissions into explicit permissions. All right. We're going to click OK. Then we're going to click edit here, add, type everyone, check names, OK. We're going to do full control, and then we're going to remove everyone but everyone. All right, just like that. Click apply, OK, and OK one more time, and then close computer management. Now we're going to click on File Explorer. We're going to browse to our Visual C++ redistributable folder, which is in our share. So go down here to Visual C++ redistributables. Now remember, we had created a VB script that ran our install bat. And of course, since we want to get rid of all VB script, we're going to create a PowerShell that does the exact same thing that our install batch file does. All right. So I'm going to right click here, new, Notepad++ document. Okay. I'm going to call this install.ps1. Yes. I'm going to right click on it, edit with Notepad++, and I'm going to copy line 154 and 153. I'm going to paste that here and just save. Okay. There we go. Now what we're going to do, let's reopen Notepad++. Now, if you remember, the system license manager runs on VBS. Okay, it's slmgr.vbs file. And what that file actually does, if you look into the weeds of it, is that it interacts directly with the Windows Management Instrumentation objects. So all we're going to do is create PowerShell replacements for that. Okay, and so that way we're not using any VB script whatsoever. So for our product key for Windows Pro, and then for our product key for Windows Enterprise, we're going to change those. Okay, so we have a new document. Let's copy from line 164 to 163. We'll paste that here, file, save as, and we're just going to call this slmgr-pro ps1. We're going to save it in our custom scripts directory. Okay, we'll do a new file, file new, and we'll do the second one here. Copy, paste, file, save as, and slmgr-enterprise. Save, and we can close Notepad++. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to browse to our scripts folder, which is in our D drive. So we'll go to the deployment share, scripts. We're going to right click our custom folder, copy, and then we're going to go back to our PS deployment share, scripts, and we're going to paste that here. All right, and now we'll go inside and we'll verify that all of our PowerShell scripts that we created for our old deployment share are here. The only difference, the only one that isn't a PowerShell is our text file, and that's fine because it's going to be called from our PowerShell, and that's for our WinRE when we expand our Windows RE on our servers. So we're good to go. You can close this, okay? And we're going to leave this open, but we're going to open up our deployment workbench. So start. There we go. Right here, you'll see our original deployment share, and here's our PSD deployment share. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the applications of our MDT share. I'm going to highlight all of these, copy, click on applications here, and paste. So we're just copying our applications right over. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to double click on our redistributables folder and our application for redistributables app. Click on the details tab. And then what we're going to do is we're going to replace the command with our PowerShell command. Okay, so you can see that it was doing the VB script here. Control V to paste, and OK. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to expand the operating systems of the old one. Click on it. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to copy all of our operating systems. We're going to click on operating systems here and paste as well. All right. Now the only thing we can't copy are our task sequences, and the reason why is PSD deployment has its own task sequences for both the clients as well as the servers. Okay, so we'll be making new deployment shares, or I'm sorry, new task sequences, and I'll come back as soon as that is done copying. Okay, and we're back. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a few extra folders. In PSD deployment, there's a fallback and generic drivers section of our deployment or our task sequences. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the old one, right? And the old one, we had our WinPE drivers for our manufacturer or make. And then we had our Windows 10, Windows 11, and the make and model. Okay, so what we're going to do is down here on our out-of-box drivers, we're going to right click new folder. I'm going to type WinPE. Okay, just like that. And because I'm using HP, I'm going to actually make a new folder here for HP. If you're using a Lenovo or Dell or whatever, create that folder. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create in the HP folder. I'm going to go new folder, Windows 10, and then new Windows 11. So then we'll expand that. Go to Windows 10, right click, new folder. We'll call this fallback. And right click, new folder, generic. What we can do is we can copy these two folders and paste them in the Windows 11 section. There we go. That way we have both. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to expand WinPE here, and whatever make or model you're doing, I'm going to do my HP, and I'm going to right click copy, and under my WinPE I'm going to right click and paste and copy those drivers over. Okay. Give that a moment. I'll be back as soon as that's done. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to grab our manufacturer drivers. So you can close up the WinPE portion, and if you're using HP, Dell, Lenovo, just right click on those, copy, and click on the right click out of box drivers and paste, and it'll place those where they need to be. Okay, and I'll be back when that's done. Okay, and we're back, and let's verify that our drivers are there. We got our WinPE, HP, there's our 2.70 folder. We'll go here, and we'll see that it copied our Z8G4 workstation for Windows 10 and Windows 11. We've got our fallback and generic drivers, and we're good to go there. Now what we can do is we can tract our MDT share so that it doesn't get in the way. Now we just have our PSD deployment share up and running. Okay. So now what we'll do is we're going to go to Advanced Configuration. We'll expand that. Click, then right click on Selection Profile. New Selection Profile. We're going to call this Drivers-WinPE. Next, we're going to go to our out-of-box drivers and select our WinPE folder. Next, next, and finish. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click our PSD deployment share. Right click, Properties. For our description, I'm going to call this MDT Lab PSD Deployment Share. Just like that. Go to our Rules tab. Now, you'll notice the rules are a little bit different now, and that's fine. They've added a whole host of properties for the PSD portions, and I've went through and I've added ours. This is as close as we could get with our MDT lab portion. Okay, so what I'll do is let me move this over. Okay, and I'll show you what we've gone through. So we've got our OS install, yes, PSD Wizard new, classic. There's actually a couple, you can look into that. Deployment share, new deployment. Do not create our extra partition. I'm going to say SMS org name MDT lab with PSD extension. Now the SMS package name, originally we had our percentage task sequence ID or task sequence name percentage. That no longer works, so that's being worked on as well. We're going to skip our task sequence no, skip computer name no, skip domain membership, join the domain. Now our object OU, if you're deploying a client, you can leave this as clients. If you're deploying a server, then of course in our Active Directory we had the OUs set up a certain way. So if you look here, we had member servers or clients, okay? And so you can change that to member servers if you want to deploy the server. This right here is being looked at, okay? There's an actual, as long as you do not edit in the GUI for this issue, I'll show you that here. I've actually placed a issues request right here. So I said machine object OU equals works only if you do not edit the org unit in the GUI when deploying. And of course this will be looked at, and we'll have the masters of MDT looking at that one. Okay, so in our domain admin, we're going to add our service task sequence, which has domain administration and the ability to add computers to the domain. We'll put in our password, domain admin, domain is MDT lab. We're going to skip product key no. Okay, our locale selection, etc., etc. Now, if you don't know what your time zone is for this, open up your tzutil/G, and it will tell you exactly what text to place here in your time zone name. We're going to skip roles. We're not going to skip applications. We're going to point to our WSUS server, which we set up on our machine. Skip admin password, yes. Place your admin password here. We're going to skip capture, do capture no. Skip computer backup, skip user data. Now we place the BitLocker information here, and like I said, BitLocker is still being worked on. So you can keep this information in your task sequence. It just won't do anything yet until they fix that. This is just the little fix for adjusting the resolution for the optimal when you deploy to a machine. We're going to skip our summary. We're going to hide the shell. We're going to skip the final summary. Our finish action is reboot, and then our event service for monitoring will be 9800. Okay, so we're going to copy from 346 all the way up to 273. Right click, copy. Okay, let's go back to our MDT server. We'll highlight here, Control V to replace that. We'll go down here for our edit bootstrap INI, and you can see they have their PSD deploy roots. By default, it's the corp.via-monstra. So we're of course going to replace that with ours, PSD deployment. So highlight from 363 all the way up to 350, copy, and we'll replace that, paste. We've got our user password, user domain, skip BDD welcome equals yes, PSD restart mode equals native. So file, save, close Notepad. Now we're going to go to the Windows PE tab. Okay, our platform is x64. Scratch base, I'm going to go down to 512. Then our features tab, I'm going to do DISM commandlets, .NET Framework, and Windows PowerShell. Okay. Then we're going to go to the drivers and patches, and our selection profile that we created, which was drivers-WinPE. We'll click on that and click include all drivers from the selection profile. Okay. Finally, we'll go to our monitoring tab, enable monitoring for this deployment share, click apply, and OK. Right. Now the next thing we're going to do is create our folders to match our original deployment share. So under task sequences, right click, new folder. We'll call this client-pro. Then we'll create another one, new folder, client-enterprise. And finally, server. There we go. Now we can expand task sequences, and we'll see all three of those. All right. Now here we go. We're going to create our task sequences. So click, then right click on Client Pro, new task sequence, and we're here. So we're going to go Win10 Pro x64. We can copy this here so we don't have to type it in. Windows 10 Pro 64-bit 22H2. Next. Now this is our new PSD standard client and server client task sequences. Okay, so if you tried to copy from your old deployment share, they will not work. They're completely different now. Okay, so PSD standard client task sequence. Next, Windows 10 22H2. Choose our install Wim. Next, do not specify a product key. We're going to say MDT lab user and our organization MDT lab. Next, do not specify administrator password because we already did that in our custom settings INI file. Next, next, and finish. Okay, so we're going to go through and we'll do the same thing for Windows 11 Pro, new task sequence, Win11 Pro x64. Copy this, which was 23H2. Next, PSD standard client task sequence. Next, Windows 11 23H2, Windows 11 Pro. Next, next, MDT lab user, MDT lab. Do not specify. Next, next, and finish. Okay. Now we're going to go to our enterprise folder. Click, right click, new task sequence. This will be Win10 ent x64. We'll grab that as well. Copy, paste, next. PSD standard client task sequence, next. Windows 10, 22H2, Windows Pro. Remember, we have the SKUs inside of this Wim file for both Enterprise and Pro, so don't worry about that. Next, do not specify MDT lab user, MDT lab, next, next, and finish. And our Windows 11 Enterprise, new task sequence, Win11 ent x64. Do the same thing, copy, 23H2, next, standard client task sequence. There we go. Do not specify product key, MDT lab user, MDT lab, no administrator password, next, next, and finish. Now we're going to go down to our servers. So right click, new task sequence, serve 2022 data center DC. So we'll copy that and this 21H2. Next, from our drop down, now we have the PSD standard server task sequence. Choose that. Server 2022. There we go. Do not specify. MDT lab user. MDT lab. No administrator password. Next. And our last one, right click, new task sequence, is server 2022 STD for standard. We'll grab this here. Paste. Next. Standard server task sequence for PSD. There we go. Same thing. Next. Next. MDT lab user. MDT lab. No administrator. Next. Next. And finish. Okay. And now what we're going to do, since we copied these, they already have the unattended XML files populated, or our catalogs. So we're just going to make a few changes in them. So let's click on Client Pro, go to our Windows 10 Pro, double click, go to Task OS Info, edit unattended XML. Now if you're doing this on a new server, of course you'll have to create those catalogs. But on our server, we've already done that. So we're going to go to 7OOB System, expand here, click on OOBE, protect your PC. We're going to type 3, click on the Save button, yes. Where it says color depth, these are deprecated values from Windows 7 and 2008 R2. So we're going to delete display, save, and then where it says network location is deprecated, double click on that, right click network location, click revert change, and save. And now we have no warnings or errors. We can close this and click OK. We're going to do the same thing with our Windows 11 Pro. Double click, OS Info, edit unattended XML, OOB AMD, OOB, that's out of box experience, save, yes, move this up a little bit, color depth, so right click display, delete, yes, save, double click network location, right click here, revert change, save, and we can close that and OK. We're going to do the same thing to our enterprise operating systems. There we go. I'll just go through these real quick. There we go. Save. And here we go. Okay, now we get down to our servers. Now our servers have an extra one, so I'll show you that. So we're going to double click on Data Center first, OS Info, edit on a 10. We're going to go here again to OOBE, protect our PC. We're going to change that to 3, save, yes, and you can see now we have the system restore, which no longer exists in this. So we're going to actually click on that system restore area, delete, save, and now the rest is the same. So display, delete, save, network location, right click, revert, save, and we're good there. Now we'll do the same thing with server standard, OS Info, edit, OOBE, there we go, save, yes, double click down here, system restore, right click delete, save, yes, display, delete, save, network location, right click, revert, save, and you're good to go with your catalogs. Okay, so now let's see here. There we are. We've closed our Windows System Image Manager. So what now we'll do is we'll click on Client Pro. We're going to double click on our Windows 10 Pro. Now we're going to get to our task sequences. Okay, so here's our task sequence, and this is going to be the long one. Now, as you can see, these are completely different than the old versions. A lot less information in here, and it's a lot more streamlined. Okay, and what they've done is they've also set up driver paths. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set high performance mode. Okay, so click on Gather. We're going to go to Add, General, Run Command Line. Okay, and we're going to copy this command name here, and we'll copy the command that we created here, put that here, and for all of these commands I'm going to go Options and Continue on Error. then click apply. And as you can see, it's all good. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our driver path. Okay. You can see they've set theirs up with Windows 10 x64 / model. Okay. We're going to use our layout the way that we set it up. We had make first, then we had the operating system, and then we had the model. Okay. So I'm going to copy this, paste. Okay. Then we'll go to our generic. Remember, we created that generic folder. We're going to do the same thing. So make Windows 10 generic, and then we'll go to the fallback. Here we go. Copy and paste. Okay. And now we're going to go down to where it says set up operating system, and underneath gather, we're going to copy this set high performance power mode again. So click on that, copy, and we'll paste that. Okay. So we got high performance mode again. Once it's into the operating system, we're going to remove the network prompt like we did in our original. So click on tattoo, add, run command line, copy that name. There we go. And we're going to copy our command, which is just a registry add. Okay. Continue on error, apply. There we go. Now we're going to do our workstation configuration PowerShell. Okay. So copy here, workstation configuration, and then our workstation config PS1, which is in our scripts folder. There we are. Apply, and there we are. Now we're going to add our secondary DNS. So add, run command line, copy, paste. That's our DNS Google in our scripts folder. Apply. There we are. We're going to remove our news feeds from the taskbar in our operating system. So paste that, copy command line, continue on error, and there we go. We'll get to add our policy definitions. Okay, so add, run control panel, our command line. Here we go. There's our PowerShell for that. Apply. And remember, we copied all of these PowerShells to our custom scripts folder. Okay. Install BG info for our workstations. There we go. Run command line. Place that there. Copy this line. Options. Continue on error. Apply. Okay. We're going to install our CM trace. Okay. Add. Run command line. There we go. Copy. Paste. And apply. There we are. We're going to install terminal to Windows 10. Okay. There we are. Now Windows 11 comes with terminal, but we're going to actually update it because our files are actually newer than the ones that come with Windows 11. Okay. Now we're going to install roles and features. We're going to install .NET Framework 3.5. So what we'll do is we'll click on Add, go down to Roles, install roles and features. Windows 10 is already selected, so we'll go up here and enable .NET Framework 3.5, and you'll see it right here. So it's the top one. We're going to go to Options, Continue on Error, Apply, and there we go. Okay. Right underneath that, we're going to install PowerShell 7, which we set up as an application. So Add, General, Install Application. Okay. Click Install a Single Application, Browse, PowerShell 7, PowerShell 7. Okay. We can actually highlight this, Control C to copy, and highlight Application, Control V to paste, and continue on error. There we go. Okay, install PowerShell 7. Okay, now we're going to remove applications with our PowerShell that we created. Run command line. There we go. This will remove most of the installed applications in Windows 10 and 11, like the Xbox and things like that that you don't want in an enterprise environment. Okay, here we go. Remove applications. Now we're going to do our SLMGR-Pro, which will set our product key. Okay, so add, run command line. Remember we created those earlier in the video. So there's our Pro key using the Windows Management Instrumentation, or WMI. Okay, now after this one, we're going to actually restart the computer. So add general, restart computer. So we've got that restart. Okay, and then our Windows Update Pass. And then we're going to install the Visual C++ redistributables after the first update pass. So add general, install application, single application, browse, Visual C++ redistributables, click on that. We're going to highlight this, Control C and Control V. Options, continue on error, apply, and we're good to go there. Okay. Now, right before we're going to click on Install Applications, and right before the Windows Update Pass 2, we're going to reset to Balance Power Mode. Okay, so General, run command line, set Balance Power Mode. There we go. Copy this, paste, Options, continue on error, apply, and OK. Now we're going to close our deployment workbench. What we're going to do is we're going to browse to our Windows 10 folder. Under here, Control, Windows 10 Pro x64. And you can see this is actually our task sequence that we just created. So we're going to select all, copy. We're going to click on the back arrow. We're going to go to Windows 11 Pro, click on it, right click, paste, replace. And that's pretty much it for that one. And we'll go to Start, Deployment Workbench. If we double click on Windows 11 Pro now, it has all of our steps that we just created. We're only going to change a few things. First thing, of course, we're going to change our driver path. Where it says Windows 10, we're going to do Windows 11. Generic, Windows 11, same thing. And fallback, driver path, Windows 11. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Install Operating System, which is right here. And we're going to change that from Windows 10 to Windows 11. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go down to Terminal. And instead of Install Terminal, this will be changed to Upgrade Terminal. Click Apply. Okay. And that's pretty much it for those two. We're going to close this one more time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to replace the others. Okay. So let's browse to Deployment Share again. PS Deployment Share. Control, Windows 10 Pro, select all, copy, back. We're going to go to Windows 10 Ent, right click, paste, replace. Then we'll go to Windows 11 Pro, select all, copy, back arrow, Windows 11 Enterprise, paste, replace. There we go. We'll close the Explorer window. Let's reopen our deployment workbench. We're going to go down to Windows 10 Enterprise, double click, task sequence, and all we're going to do is we're going to go down to where it says Set Edition Professional. We're going to change it to Set Edition Enterprise. And we'll replace it with our other script. So go all the way, highlight that, Control V, apply. OK. We'll do the same thing for Windows 11. They use the same KMS key, so we don't have to change much. So do the same thing. Set Edition Enterprise. There we go. And copy that. And paste. And OK. Now what we'll do is we'll go here to Client Pro. We're going to double click. In our Task Sequence tab, We're going to move this to the left, okay? And then we're going to do is we're going to go to our server area. We're going to double click on our data center area, and we're going to move that to the right, and we'll minimize deployment workbench, okay, so that we can see both of these. We're going to click on task sequence on both of them. All right, that way we can copy from one to the other for things that we actually want to copy. So the first thing, of course, is our high performance power mode. We're going to click on copy, click gather, paste. Okay, now sometimes you'll see that these disappear, and that's okay. You can reopen that again, task sequence, and if that bothers you, it bothers me sometimes, but it's just the nature of the beast. Okay, the driver path is the same for Windows 10 and Server 2022. Okay, if we were using Windows Server 2025 in the future here, we would change this to Windows 11 because they use the same driver models. All right, just for your information. All right, so we're going to copy this high performance power mode again under gather on select setup operating system. Okay, we're going to click on tattoo. We can click on remove network prompt, copy, and paste. There we go. Now we have our extension for our Windows recovery environment, and I set up that disk part as you saw in the early videos, video 3 I believe it was. So what we'll do is we're going to, underneath remove network prompt, create a new command line. We're going to say disable recovery environment first, and here it is, reagent C disable, options, continue on error, apply. Okay, and then what we'll do is we're going to do our disk part script that I showed you was a text file. All right, there we are. Disk part, we'll call that text file, which is in our scripts folder. All right, and then we'll re-enable the Windows recovery environment afterwards. And copy that, paste, continue on error, apply. And right after we're done re-enabling that, we're going to restart the computer. There it is. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is server configuration. Since we have workstation configuration over here, add, run command line. Okay. We'll copy our PowerShell script command here. Options, continue on error, apply. Here's one that we can actually copy, which is our secondary DNS. Okay. Paste that there. Okay. Now, in our servers, we have to actually enable our audio service and start it up. So we'll copy this, add command line, enable audio service, which is this command here on line 853. Continue on error, apply. There we go. And then we're going to actually start that service once we've enabled it. Okay, so start the service. And there we are. So that calls the net start command. Options, continue on error, apply. All right, there we are. Now the admin center pop-up, I'm going to remove that. So add, this is just a registry key to prevent that from coming up. Continue on error, apply. Okay, and then the server manager, I don't like it to open up when I start server, so we're going to do the same thing with the registry key. Just like this. Copy, paste, apply. And here we go. Now we can go down here to add policy definitions. We can copy that, paste it right under the server option. Okay. And then our BG info for our server. Okay. Add command prompt. There we are, BG info serve, options, continue on error, apply. Okay, and now what we can do is we can copy CM trace and paste that there. Our terminal, so copy that, paste that underneath CM trace. Okay, now enable our roles is a little bit different for this. So click on Install Terminal, add roles and features, install roles and features. Windows Server 2019 and 2022 share the same selections. So Windows Server 2019, let's go down all the way here to features, and you'll see .NET Framework right there. So click on that one. Okay, we're going to click on Enable .NET Framework 3.5, options, continue on error, apply, and there we go. Okay, now PowerShell 7, copy that, paste it right underneath. Okay, and then of course what we're going to do is we're going to set our addition to server data center, so using a dism command. So run command. We don't use slmgr with this, we use dism. Okay, so we'll highlight this command, paste, options, continue on error, apply, and there we go. And we'll restart the computer after we've done that. Now click on Windows Update Pass 1, copy the Visual C++ runtimes, and paste that there. And the same thing with our balanced power mode. We're going to copy that, paste it right after our application install application step, and apply, OK, and OK. Now what we can do is we can click Deployment Workbench in the taskbar and close it. We're going to browse to our deployment share, PS deployment share, control. We'll go to data center. That's the one we just edited. Select all, copy. We're going to override the one in standard. So right click, paste, place the files, close this. We'll start deployment workbench again. We'll go down to our standard task sequence tab. And all we're going to do is we're going to change the set addition portion to set addition to standard. And we'll change the KMS key here, highlight, paste, apply, and OK. All right. Now we're going to click the PowerShell button here that we've already got open. We're going to now compress our drivers into WIM files. And this is a great addition to MDT because it's a lot faster using WIM files than individual files when it copies over. And they're actually very quick to extract, faster than zip files. So we're going to do that. So let's copy this command, okay? And it's going to compress all of our drivers into WIMs, and I'll show you that as soon as it's done. I'll be back. This step does take just a little while, so I suggest you get yourself a cup of coffee or go walk around the block, and I'll be back when it's done. Okay, and we're back, and that's completed. So we can actually close this PowerShell window. We're going to browse to our PSD deployment share. And if you go to PSD resources and you look under driver packages, you'll see that we have folders now named for our drivers. And there's our WIM files. Okay. And they're highly compressed and good to go. All right. So what we'll do is I've created a custom image for our PSD deployment share. So you can copy this, paste, there we go. And you can see this is our PowerShell deployment custom image that I created to match our deployment. Copy image, start, just type paint, press enter, Control V to paste, File, Save As, and we're going to say Save As Type 24-bit bitmap, and we're going to replace this PSD background that's in place now. Save, yes, and we can close Paint and close Edge. We're going to right click our PSD deployment share, and now we're going to just update it. Completely regenerate the boot images. Next, next, and let that finish, and I'll be back as soon as it's done. Okay, we're back and the process completed successfully, so we're good there. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to import that new boot image alongside our existing. So let's start Windows Deployment Services. We'll expand to Servers, expand MDT01, click on Boot Images. You can see our old light touch one. Right click, add boot image, and we're going to grab that from our PSD deployment share. Paste, next. PowerShell deployment boot image, there we go. Next, and wait for that to import. Shouldn't take too long. There we go. Finish. Close Windows Deployment Workbench. Okay. We can close this folder. We're going to move our deployment workbench to the left. And then we're going to go click on Start. Go down to Windows Server Update Services. We'll move that to the right. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new virtual machine. So we can either right click here, or we can click File, New Virtual Machine. Next. Next. Windows 11 x64. We're going to call this WS004. Next. We're going to copy our password for our encryption TPM module. Control V to paste. Secure boot. Next. We're going to do 1 processor, 2 cores. Next. Leave it at the default of 4 gigs RAM. Next. Use NVMe 64 gigs. Store as a single file. Next. Next. Click Customized Hardware. We're down here. Okay. On the CD DVD, we're going to uncheck the connected power on. Our network adapter, we're going to use our LAN segment. USB controller, uncheck the share Bluetooth devices. On display, just uncheck the automatically adjust user interface size. Close, finish. Okay, we're down here. We're going to right click WS004 settings. We're going to go to the options tab, VMware tools, and update automatically. Then just click OK. And we'll move that right here underneath 003. And we're going to power on the virtual machine. We're going to wait for the boot screen. So click on the screen, wait for it to come up, and press F12. There we go. We can press Control and Alt and close this. You'll see our 2 boot images. So we've got our PowerShell deployment and our light touch Windows PE. We're going to choose our new PowerShell deployment boot image, press Enter, and let that load up. We're right here. You can see light touch underscore x64-2.wim. It's loading fairly quickly. We'll wait for the deployment readiness window, and I'll come back when that's ready to go. Okay, it's loading the core PowerShell modules. You can see this coming up, checking that we have at least 1.5 gigs of RAM, running local gather. You'll see the screen flash a few times. That's just the BG info updating. That's how they set this up. You can see our nice new screen or background that we placed there. Okay, validating network access to our deployment share. Okay, and we'll give that just a few moments. We're right here. All right. And here we are. Here's our deployment readiness window. It tells you what manufacturer, model, serial number, and our asset tag. Click Next. We're going to choose Windows 11 Enterprise 64-bit. You can see all of our deployments that we set up. Next. Here we are. We're going to go up here to device name, change it to WS004. We're going to leave org unit alone because it's going to use the value from the custom settings INI. We've got our task sequence service account, our password set up, what domain, everything is good. Everything is good there. Click Next. We're going to choose 7-zip and Notepad++. Click Begin. And away we go. And you can see it's going through its thing. MDT Lab with PSD extension. Deployment in progress. I'm going to wait until it says installing operating system. And then I'll come back when it's at its logon screen. Okay. Formatting the partitions. Here we go. There's our recovery volume. Setting the driver path. If we had this on a machine, it would of course set those generic and the fallback driver paths. Okay. Injecting drivers if there were any that it needed. Okay. Install operating system. And away we go. So I will see you in a little while once that's done. And while that's going, we can go here to our MDT01. We can click on monitoring in our deployment workbench. Click refresh and you can see it's going through its steps. Okay. Monitoring WS004. Okay. Once it gets to the point where it's installing updates, you'll see those populate here. You can click refresh. You'll see WS004 come up. And then of course in DC01, once it gets to a certain point here in clients, you'll see WS004 come up. Okay, so let's let that go and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, it's getting to the Windows Update pass. So what we can do is we can go here and click on refresh and you can see WS004 is showing up. It's starting to install its updates. Right click here. We're at step 79. Let's look here. Right click refresh and there's WS004. As you can see, it says Windows 11 Pro right now. That's because it hasn't gotten to this step yet where it updates to Enterprise. So let's go back and I'll be back when it's done. Okay, and we're back. We're at the logon screen. Let's go to DC01, right click, refresh. You can see we're now at Windows 11 Enterprise. We're going to right click, properties, description. I'm just going to type client. There we go. Okay, we can close this. Let's go to MDT01, deployment workbench. Right click, refresh. You can see 100%. 0 errors, 0 warnings. We're good there. Let's go over here. We can see WS004 and now it's at 100%. All of our updates are installed. We can close these. Okay, and then let's go to WS004. We're right here. We're going to log in, Control Alt Insert, go to Other User. We're going to log in with our ADM account. Okay, let's give that a moment. All right. This should only be a few seconds here. Almost there. Okay, here we go. So let's click on the screen. I'm going to press numlock. Okay, I'm going to right click on our desktop, view by, auto arrange icons, RBG info loaded, you can see. So I'm going to right click start, run, type CMD. I'm going to do group update force, GP update force, group policy. You'll see this disappear here. Okay. Give that a moment. And then we're going to restart the machine. So shutdown /r/t for time, 1 second. There we go. And we'll come back when that's at the logon screen. Okay, and let's log in. Control-Alt-Insert. There we go. Now click on Start. Go to All Apps. Go down to Terminal. Right-click, More, and pin to Taskbar. Okay. We're going to move our Windows Security once it comes up here. There it is. And we'll move that down here. Okay. Now we're going to right-click Start. Go to ncpa.cpl. And we're going to give it a static IP address. So right-click Ethernet 0 Properties, IP version 4 Properties. Use the following IP: 192.168.0.54, 192.168.0.1 for our gateway, and 192.168.0.10 for our domain controller. Our alternate DNS, of course, is our Google. We'll go to Wins, disable NetBIOS over TCP/IP. OK, close, and close. All right. Now we're going to install VMware Tools. So right-click, Install. We can close this. We're going to browse to our D drive. Once that loads up, there we are. You can close this. Double-click setup64.exe. Once that comes up, it should be in the taskbar. There it comes. Flashes a few times. Next, next, install. Here we go. It's our video driver installing. There we go. And click Finish, and yes to restart. And I'll come back as soon as that's at the logon screen. Okay, and we're back, so let's Control-Alt-Insert. I'm going to log in. We fix this here. I see a typo, which I will re-upload that file. That's fine. Okay, we're going to click Start, type CMD, and then Control-Shift-Enter to open up an administrative command prompt. I'm going to do one more GP update. Give that a moment. I'm going to turn off hibernation, so powerconfig/h off. Then I'm going to do powerconfig CPL for our control panel. And I'm going to adjust our power settings. So balanced, change plan settings. I'm going to change this to never and never. Then go to change advanced power settings. I'm going to click here and press 1, then press down for never. Go to sleep, sleep after, click. I'm going to press 1, down again for never, apply, OK, save changes. OK, there we go. Now in DC01, we're going to go to Start, DHCP. We're going to change our scope so that this computer's IP address is no longer in the scope. Okay, so we'll click on Scope, right-click, Properties, and where it says 54, we're going to change that to 55. Apply, OK, and we'll close DHCP. Now, when we go here, like I was telling you about BitLocker, right? So we're going to browse to our deployment share. We're going to Scripts. And then we're going to go down to PSDTBA and right-click Edit with Notepad++. And if you go down here, you'll see it says the built-in VB script has been replaced by this script. However, the function the VB script would have done is not yet implemented. Sorry, working on this. So BitLocker is being worked on, so don't worry about that. So we're going to do it manually. So let's go to workstation 004. We can close this window. This PC, right click, turn on BitLocker, encrypt only use space. Next, start encrypting, and let that go. Now this does get saved, the recovery password does get saved in Active Directory because we set up our group policy to do that. So once this is at 100%, I'll show you in DC01 and we'll verify that it gets stored in Active Directory. Be right back. Okay, encryption is complete. We can click close and close Explorer window. I'm going to go to DC01. I'm going to go open up Active Directory users and computers. I'm going to right click on WS004 properties, go to BitLocker recovery, and you can see our recovery password is here. Okay, so we're good to go there. So now let's go back to workstation 004. I'm going to right click start, run, type control, press enter, and then I'm going to view by large icons. And I'm going to go to programs and features, and we're just going to verify that our software got installed. So you can see 7-zip, RC++ runtimes, Notepad++, and PowerShell 7 all got installed. We're good there. Let me change this as well, and I'll re-upload that file. Okay. Then we can close programs and features. Let's open up Edge. We're going to verify our internet access. So start without your data, confirm and continue, continue without this data, confirm and start browsing, and click finish. And you can see stories are coming up. We can click close. Now we're going to right click start, okay, shut down our sign out. We're going to click sign out. I'm going to go to MDT01. We've already closed everything, so let's sign out here, and then we can go to DC01, right click, and I'm going to sign out there. And that's pretty much it for this video series. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know in the comments section, and I'll see you in the next video.